Good morning, everyone. This is Meredith Leon McCormick for World Bride Magazine, and we are still on lockdown for this crisis, COVID-19, aka coronavirus. It's 2020, and we're already into the second quarter, and weddings are at a standstill for so many people. We wanted to come together with some of our wedding professionals and ask them how are they guiding the brides, families that are going through this stressful period of either pushing, postponing, or just Zooming their weddings. So we caught up with one of my favorite new authors that I found. I love his book. It's called Don't Let Your Wedding Be the Death of You. David Anthony. Good morning.
Good morning. Glad to be here.
Yes, you are.
The new normal here. That's how this works, right?
No more face-to-face interviews. Yeah. No more happening.
That's right. We'll be back. We'll be back.
We better be back. It has to be back, you know. Yes. But even though we do come back, it is never, ever, ever going to be the same.
I'm not so sure. I think people will wash their hands a lot more. I think that'll happen. That's for sure. I definitely think there'll always be sanitizer everywhere. But, people love their life.
But do you not think this would be a great opportunity for people to rethink the process in which they do plan their weddings and events in the way that it is more, I believe it would become less selfish and more selfless in the sense that it will incorporate more families, more people that you love, where now you're going to be forced to do one of two things. Think of who's coming to your wedding and keep it very small and tiny. Or now you realize like, oh my God, all I have is my family and I want all of them there.
Well, the problem I'm really experiencing, to be honest, with talking with brides, and I've been on the phone and working through this with hundreds and hundreds of brides in the past several weeks, is just what you're saying. What I thought would be exactly what you're saying, in that they're going to shrink their wedding down, they're just going to go immediate family. In fact, the problem that I'm having, or the problem that they're stressing about, is they don't want to be near their immediate family because those are the ones that they don't want to risk right now. So that's really what I'm coming up with. And I don't know that I'm a big believer in over this next 4 or 5 months, let's just shrink the wedding down real small. Let's do a justice of the peace. I don't agree with that by any means. I think that maybe it is the time to figure out a plan B, something that we can go forward with that still gives you the wedding of your dreams. I really do believe that we're 8, 9, 10 months and this is behind us. I truly, truly believe that. I don't think we're tables spread apart and plastic shields up. I think that's the near future. I think that's June, July, maybe into early August, probably more so for the restaurant industry than the wedding business. Right. But this is the time to really, take a step back and evaluate either A, just what you said. Do I want to go smaller and go immediate family? And I have some brides that want to do that. Then how do we accomplish that? How do we still let guests know or be involved, whether it's through some type of streaming or something of that nature, which we are putting together? Or do I want to go into next year? Do I want to go into first quarter, second quarter? What does that look like? Even into the winter, like this is not the time to worry about, is it fall and do we have the right colors? Like that doesn't matter. We're worried about being in the room with our guests, right? I mean, forget the pictures, forget Pinterest right now. Let's talk about what happens in the room. Not, well, I really wanted July. That's not important. That's not important. What's important is, hey, what's a safe time that we will be able to come together? And if that's in January or February and it pushes us out a little bit, then so be it.
Right. So tell us a little bit about you and how you started in the industry, because you have about 5 or 6 events.
Correct. I started in the industry 15 years ago. Really, I had a very good friend who was an incredible front of the house restaurant person who had ended up without a job. And I thought and there was a beautiful old a Victorian, it used to be an old restaurant that was sitting there kind of coming apart. And I thought, wouldn't it be fun to buy that? It'd really be great for the town and build it up, and she can run it as a restaurant. Well, when I started, people and started doing the build out on it, a couple brides showed up, and I started doing weddings. And it was at that point that I realized that my level of OCD and weddings went really, really well together. It was kind of a perfect fit, and it just went from there. And then I just got really there was a passion for it. There was a passion for being involved with people during the happiest time of their life and making the day perfect. And quite frankly, the stress slash level of detail really just is actually what freaks other people out, is almost comforting to me. So it grew from there. And then once the wedding business started, I actually even went to culinary school afterward, just so I could have input in the kitchen. I don't do the cooking in any of my facilities. I have chefs. However, boy, if there's an emergency, I'm able. And again, just to be able to be educated on all aspects. I found that when I started, I really came at it from really more of a business standpoint and organization, but my strength was not on the food side. And when I'm consulting, so not only do I consult with brides, but I consult with other venues, and I find that they come at it from the opposite place. So many of the venue owners were culinary guys who ended up with a venue and don't know the front side of it as well.
Wow.
So for me, when I'm with somebody, at least I'm able to talk to the part they don't know. Usually people are good at one of the parts.
Right.
But it's all of it. It's the venue and the visual of the venue, right? The piece that a guy like David Teixeira does. Then there's the cooking portion of it, the food, the presentation, etc. And then there's really the relationship that's built with the bride and her family, because it's not Bridezillas anymore, it's Momzillas. And the reason it's Momzillas, that's right, the reason it's Momzillas is because the new mom used to plan the wedding. Right. She doesn't anymore. The bride plans the whole wedding. So the mom really kind of gets introduced to everything at the very end. Right. But she hasn't built, if you don't build a relationship with these other people, at the end, you end up with a volcano. They want to change everything. The bride wants you not. It's interesting. It's very, very interesting how the process works, for sure.
And that's what I enjoyed about your book. So I want to go back to your book. The title of the book, everyone, is Don't Let Your Wedding Be the Death of You. And it's a very short read. And I think I read this in 2 days. And in 2 days of going to meetings, if I didn't go to 2 meetings, I would be fine. I would have finished it in 1 day. I laughed my tail off on the train. I know people thought I was crazy, but you made some absolutely amazing points. Like, if people see this book, they think it's a workbook. I pinned pages, I highlighted just amazing points where you did address exactly what you talked about, mothers and how involved we get in our children's wedding. But because that's taken away from us and we get it at the end, you literally tell us, sit down, it's not your wedding, relax.
That's right.
Enjoy it, you know.
One of the funny parts in the book is that I say that what moms do is they hold their daughter hostage. I'm paying for it. Okay, sounds good. So I'm gonna, it's just not where it is. No, and that's what the book is meant to be. It's supposed to be informative, instructional. You're really kind of, if you really read into the book, it's kind of scolding. But I do it funny
in a loving way, so that
they don't get offended.
Exactly. It really was. And I literally had to look at myself and say, oh my God, is that what I'm becoming when I was helping my daughter plan her wedding?
Right.
And helping. I know it for a fact. She said a couple of times, hey, I'm not one of your brides. I'm not one of your magazine editorial pieces. This is my wedding. And I had to, how dare you?
Absolutely.
And it was it. And so do you feel that now with this situation and the new normal, that mothers are going to try even harder to push, or family members are going to try harder to be a part of it, because everybody's sensitive now. Everybody is lovey-dovey and whatever. What will be the new involvement for everybody
Well,
for the
and
wedding?
that's that. I was just giving a little conference on that the other day, and talking with people that you really have to understand the family as a whole if you are a coordinator or if you are
Mhm.
a restaurant or excuse me, a banquet facility or a wedding facility. And the reason that I say that is, what are the level of social distancing that they're going to want to achieve? You're going to have people that are very strict. You're going to have people that want to be less strict. And you really have to accomplish that and still make everybody, well, we're all family. For, a lot of brides are saying that to me. We don't care about that. We're all family. Okay, does everybody in your family feel that way, or is your aunt going to go off on somebody during the
Right.
middle of the wedding because they're only 5.5 feet apart instead of 6 feet apart? So that's the thing you really have to understand with the
Right.
family, is those dynamics and achieving what the brides want and educating your staff on what the brides want. You got to think through everything. I spent an hour on serving spoons the other day, trying to figure out a way that if somebody goes through a buffet, they could all use a different serving spoon, like just stupid things that,
Right.
and again, those type of things are the things that I think will go away. Do I think hand sanitizer and being a little bit more conscious about coughing into your sleeve and those things? No, I think that overall it's probably good, but I think some of this will prove to be, let's call it a little bit of overkill, but we'll see it as time goes on for
Right.
sure. But it's understanding and going through that process and being ready for all of it. Like
Right.
right now, I'm literally having meetings with my staff on a pretty regular basis, and I don't anticipate being up and running with weddings until August, probably more likely September. And here we are this far out, and we're making plans. What's going to be different? How's it going to be different? What are we going to need? Start gaining supplies that we're going to need. Like,
Right.
this is the time, if you're planning on being open. I mean, if you're just hanging on as a wedding facility, which a lot of them are, it's really a shame. There's a lot of venues. I'm very, very lucky in that we can do 5 weddings on a Friday, 6 weddings on a Saturday. That's different. There's just such volume involved in that. But what if you're a venue that just does Saturday weddings, or
Right.
a barn, one of the barns that's only open from really June to October-ish, and then the weather's not right. So I'm limited with dates and times, and now I take
Right.
away an entire season. It's going to
Yeah,
be a
that's
tight one for a lot of people.
for a lot of people, which is going to impact everyone as a whole.
Absolutely.
So in addressing venues, and you run 5 or 6 venues, how are you shifting your weddings that had to cancel since March or
Right.
reschedule? How did you handle this?
Well, so right away, obviously not knowing what was going on in March, the week before they closed everything, you start hearing that they're going to. So the first thing I did was move those first March and even early April weddings. The sad part for some of them is a couple of brides, I said, this won't last long. I just want to make sure the hospital. So you move them from March to May, and then, May comes, and you move them from May to, there's no way this is going in July. And now you got to move them from July. Now I'm just saying, look, if you've moved a couple of times, let's just pick a date next year. Those are the ones, which is not many, but those are the ones I really feel for. That,
Right.
they call and they're just over it. And the main thing I've tried to stress, I mean, picking another date's not that big a deal. How we have handled it is, I tell the brides, I'm not going to cancel your date. So if your date right now is August 1st, which I believe is a Saturday, as an example, I'm not canceling August 1st. You'll decide when to cancel August 1st. Now let's find another date. Let's pick May 18th. So what I've done is I've put the brides under contract for both dates. That way they have their August
Wow.
date, they have their May date. Now, if we get to August and you want to cancel, I'll eliminate August, and we already can make our plans, but at least that way they have some peace of mind I can get a hold of my photographer, I can get a hold of my vendors. I feel like I'm still planning versus in limbo. Even though it's a backup plan, it almost distracts them. It almost gives them
Yeah.
something to focus on, and it's not
Right.
just pure fear.
Right.
This is an unknown, but this is a guarantee. Now, some brides have come back and said, I just want to cancel my July date. Okay. And then I'll take it off the books. Now, if they decide to do, again, their August 1st date, then I'll open up my May date again. Well, for wedding owners, I want them to remember, for wedding venues, the thing that's most important for them to remember is that if we go through this, we were already booked. Like nobody was coming in March for September. It really wasn't happening. Maybe a rogue bride here or there. So when we are back up and running, your problem is not this year. That is not your problem. If they're open, they'll have no problem with 2020. Your problem is 2021.
Right.
Because we're not booking 2021. We're not, I mean, I just looked the other day, I'm 66 weddings behind from where I would be on my pace to do my normal amount of weddings. So that's going to be the problem. And that's where, as a venue owner, they need to really start to look at 21 and what their cash flow looks like and how they're going to handle it as far as event space. As far as the bride, again, giving them a plan B day, give them a hard day that they can really look at and feel comfortable with. In saying that, I wouldn't be so fast if I was the bride, though, to pull the plug on your initial date.
Right.
We're 7 weeks into this thing. And I want you to remember 7 weeks ago, the reason we did this is because 1.4 to 2.8 million Americans were going to die.
Yeah.
That's not happened. So, and it's tragic that 60,000 have. But if 7 weeks ago they said, we're going to pull the plug on the economy because 60,000 people were going to die, they would have thrown everybody out of government. So the point being is it's changing every day. It's changing so fast, week to week. We don't know what 5 weeks from now looks like. We have no clue, and nor do they. In 5 weeks from now, there could be a drug that works, a treatment, and we got this, let's go. Maybe not. But I also think that fear is going to drop. Right now, this is driven by fear, not fact. It really is. This right now is driven by fear. Originally, it was driven by projection, and now it's driven by fear. Fear goes away. The American people don't operate that way. Once they figure out and get comfortable, and if that means for them a mask and gloves, that's okay. And if it means for grandma, I'm going to stay home and watch it on TV, then that's okay too.
Right.
We'll all figure out it's not the new normal, it's what our normal is.
Right.
My normal is the same as my old normal. Now that's what my choice is.
Right.
Somebody else's might be everybody's choice is fine. Our side of it is making sure the bride's comfortable. That's most important. And then figuring out how to make the most amount of people comfortable within the wedding. I know one of the questions that we will be adding is there anybody with fears of spread of virus or contain? Maybe I have some tables that I only put 3 or 4 seats at that makes them a little bit more spread out, that they feel more comfortable. I get some distance between tables. This group doesn't care, but this group does. All right, well, let's try to figure out how we can isolate even within a room as we're moving forward. I mean, there's ways to handle the whole thing. Maybe some people don't want to go through a buffet. No problem. I'll serve those people. Should we serve everybody? There's different ways of handling it, but you have to think it's not just in or out. We have to figure out how to handle, because in our industry, it's 100 people, 200 people, 300 people is really what we are. You can't go, okay, a third. And I do not want brides to cut their wedding down because of this. I think move your date, forget about it, move on. I know you don't want to wait, but a Zoom wedding is not what you're going to look back on. You will regret that. And 5 years from now or 10 years from now, you'll be having a vow renewal. Okay.
Right.
Wait and have
I
a wedding.
think that is what's going to happen. Whereas it's super cute that somebody did it. I mean, but at the end of the day, are you going to be able to have fond memories of that next year when you look back on it? Will this always be the tragic wedding that you ran and rushed to have? You know?
Absolutely.
And so that's the important thing the couple needs to take into consideration is, what memories do you want to have of this? Will this be the crisis wedding? that you
Well,
want.
and if you think about it, if you're a bride especially, I always joke and say, brides think about so many parts and pieces of this growing up. And it's everything from getting ready to walking with dad down the aisle to the first dance or the cake cutting. Like they think of all the parts and pieces from little girls growing up. And
Right.
grooms think about the bride walking down the aisle and getting drunk. That is exactly what the groom thinks about. So it's different for the groom. But if you're a bride and you've thought about this day, which is going to be the fastest day of your life, P.S.
Absolutely. And we read that in your book again.
You've now thought about it pretty much every day since you were a little girl growing up. And after the wedding day's over, it's one of the days you'll remember probably the rest of your life.
Right.
Whether it be good or bad,
right.
with happiness or regret. But you're going to remember it for the rest of your life. But the point being is, why change that to a Zoom conference? It doesn't make sense to me. That doesn't make sense to me.
To redo it again.
I know you're disappointed. Step back. Let's look at a date in the future. And it could be 6 months or 8 months or 10 months. And let's do it the right way. And that's what I've been trying to get brides to do, because there's a lot of brides that are on the phone with me in tears. Like, I've been planning this day for 2 years. Okay, so let's not bastardize it.
Right.
Let's plan the day now for 2.5 years and still do it.
Right.
And that's what I'm hoping. And we've been very successful. I have had, of all the brides, so we've moved so far, I've moved or given Plan B dates to 147 brides so far. And I've had 2 that have said, no, I'm done. I'm not even going to bother. We're going to the justice of the peace. I really feel bad. I think about those 2 more than anybody. And I tried hard, boy, to talk them out of it. The one girl, I felt really bad. She had moved a couple of times. I says, I'll tell you what, you take a date next May and I'll do it for free. And she wouldn't even do it.
Wow.
I just felt terrible. I felt terrible. And she's on the phone just crying. Now, another thing that brides might want to think about doing, and the venues may very well do. I have had brides say to me, do we really want to start having kids? And I said, well, why don't we do this on your wedding day? Because very soon here, we probably will be 50 people or less. Okay. Let's come to the venue. Let's do a ceremony. Bring 50 people and less, closest family. We'll do a little cocktail hour. We'll make a couple hours out of it, very inexpensive. And then we'll do a vow renewal in a year and we'll do the whole thing. And that's been something that's been pretty well received. So I still get married on my day and I have a special, and now we create 2 special events. We create a very intimate special event for that immediate family and, the whole wedding down the road. And again, very well received by brides that want to do it now.
But it sounds like you're just an accommodating host. You literally are doing everything humanly possible to accommodate these couples on this very
special brides.
day.
We're not canceling a dinner reservation. This is a wedding. So if you're in this business and you don't feel a moral obligation, then go pick a different business.
Because it's already stressful already. So why add to this stress of this couple and this family?
You're telling these people to trust you. It's a wedding. It's one of the most important days and probably one of the most stressful days of their life, right? They've never done it before,
right? For
the most part. But even if they've done it before, let's say they've done it twice, but that's very little experience and it has to be perfect. That's hard to pull off. The first time you ever do something, you have to do it perfectly. So you're asking them to trust you, and you're telling them you're going to deliver. And one of the things I've said over and over on the phone calls with my brides, because I say it at pretty much every meeting every consultation that I'm in, I say, we are in this together. And this is the first time I've gotten to prove it to them. We are, and I say, I get to prove it now, and we're in it together. That's it.
Wow.
You are morally obligated to do everything possible to make their day right. And that means handling the problems too. That doesn't mean just setting tables. And that's the thing. David Teixeira cracks me up when I talk to him. He's a wedding expert. No, he's a decorator. I'm dealing with the brides that cry, and I'm working through their issues, and I'm having the moms yell at me. That's a wedding professional. Putting flowers on the table is a florist. Let's face it.
There you have it, folks. So now, can you tell us where your spaces are located that our brides can call you up, your website? Where can they go see these spaces, and how are you handling consultations for brides that are looking for spaces now?
So sayidoevents.com is the website. You'll be able to see all the different spaces, and we have everything from 40 Cinema to Gatsby, Gatsby Speakeasy, Industrial, Barn, more traditional. So they're all differently themed. And we have a bakery on site. We call it Campus. Bakery, we have a full floor shop. We literally, and all the DJ services, et cetera. So we're a one-stop shop is how it's been. Absolutely, every single part and piece. We're up in central New York. We're really pretty conveniently located because we're at the cross basically of the throughway in 81. So east and west or north or south. We're about 4 hours out of Manhattan. We actually do quite a bit of weddings that come up from Manhattan. We're essentially next door to the Turning Stone Resort and Casino, and there's many, many hotels, and we run shuttles back and forth there. So it's amazing how far we draw from. You're in a time when brides have moved. A lot of people move away now. It's not like years ago where you didn't get, moving away was one block over from mom and dad. Right. And now it's coast to coast. So having that one-stop shop, especially when brides are traveling in, it's a whole different experience. I bring a bride from New York City in for a weekend. I say, they could stay at the casino, and on one day they'll meet with their photographer, they'll meet with our florist, they'll meet with the pastry chefs to do their cake design, they'll meet with the DJ to go through all those details. The next day we'll do all their food tasting. So we make a weekend even out of that to kind of take the pressure out of it. So when I'm moving a wedding, just think of that. When I'm moving a wedding, I'm not just moving the wedding. Right. I'm moving the DJ, the cake, the photographer, we got to move everything. So that's been the making sure nothing slips through the cracks has been probably the biggest piece of this whole thing.
Amazing. Amazing. So now the other thing that I thoroughly enjoy is your videos. Folks, I promise you, I'm going to add some clips for you to see these videos. You will be on the floor. One day, you just have to binge watch every single one of them. Literally, you will be on the floor. What goes into those videos? And is it real life experiences that you're like, you know what? I'm just going to reenact all of this.
I used to joke and say, someday we get some outrageous mom or some outrageous situation. And someday I'm just going to act that out for everybody. We're going to put it on a video. And then I decided to do it. There's actually what people don't realize. There's 30 videos that were originally filmed, and the first 7 get released. And I get a call from a production company, and one of the things we signed a deal for the Wedding M.D. as a reality television show, which now is all on. They came in and the filming's done, but we're stuck in limbo until all this is over.
Right.
One of the deals was I would not release any more of the videos. They wanted to release the videos because there are some funny videos out there. There's
Can I please release the ones that I've seen already? Because I'm on the floor and I don't want to be selfish. The drunk groom that thinks he's fine.
Yeah. Oh man. So David Anthony Wedding M.D. is the website. That's a separate website. You can also link there from sayidoevents.com. But just to go and check it out, it's just a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. And I'll tell you what, now the funny part with my staff is when something crazy happens, they'll call me to come and look and say, you should do a video of that, or you should do it. And as you know, I dress up like grandma, or I dress up like the bride.
Yes.
It's just really fun. Like every other great idea, I'm sure it started with vodka, but they are though same as the book. They're educational,
yes,
but they're funny. So you kind of go, all right, I get it, rather than being offended, right? I used to tell people, look, I cannot have your groomsmen be drunk, and they'd be like, yeah, and then you play the video, and they go, okay, I get it.
And you have some absolutely beautiful quotes in between each chapter. Marriage is a mosaic you build with your spouse, millions of tiny moments that create your love story. Jennifer Smith. I mean, how did you get all of these quotes? Were they?
I think that was harder than writing the book. I mean,
Really?
you know, going through quote by quote and just spending hour after hour just researching quotes that I thought were not were relevant. We weren't
Right.
cheesy, right? Because every other page, as you know, is just it's supposed to be a guide, but also kind of a motivational guide, right? It's
Right.
all supposed to make you feel good. It's also supposed to make you feel good. So now book sales are going to skyrocket right now.
I hope so.
Amazon.com.
This is
Amazon.com.
amazing because you have a chapter 4, and I think this is really, really timely for today. And it is first the quote that starts it. You know you're in love when you can't fall asleep because your reality is finally better than your dream. Dr. Seuss. I love that. But the title of the chapter, what's really important? And I think during this crisis, though you're talking about your vendors, the question still remains, when planning this wedding, count
Absolutely.
what's really important.
No
From the
question.
people you invite, the date that you pick, and I think the fact that anyone that's dealing with you realizes instantly that you're flexible, and this is not just another cash cow for you. Hey, just come in, book the date, so what? Sorry. Your willingness to help them through the process is going to make a huge difference in easing the mind of the couple, their family, because like you said, even if we're in New Yorkers, we're no longer going to go. This is another one of my predictions. People are either going to leave the country and go to destination weddings like this, or they're going to stay close to home, and it has to be someplace they can drive. The drive upstate New York is absolutely magnificent. The
Beautiful.
view,
No
to know that these places are just 4 hours away in some areas. I think it's all worth the wait of visiting your sites. Now, how do they book your space to go at least get a consultation? You mentioned it's a weekend thing. How do they go about doing that?
A lot of them will come in. We can do, we can FaceTime or Skype or go through that process. But they'll drive up for the weekend. It's only a couple hours, and you're right. The drive is beautiful. The area up here is just absolutely, especially where we're located. It's just a beautiful space. Hell, it's a beautiful ride to work every day. And quite frankly, there's a huge cost difference. I have brides come up from New York City, and they say to me afterward,
Oh, absolutely.
Some of them even rent buses and bring everybody here on the
Yeah.
bus.
Mm-hmm.
And they said it was cheaper for me to get buses, hotel rooms for all my guests, amazing wedding, and I still saved money. And that's it. I mean, you really get some bang for your buck. We do probably, I'm going to say 60 to 70, which is actually a lot from New York, Long Island, Northern Jersey, from that whole area, even Connecticut, that whole area that Cuomo's talking about right now. So
Right.
that exact same space. We do quite a few weddings from down there.
Well, I am excited and I want to come and visit your space, but I tell you, your book is it's definitely a TV show just waiting to happen.
I appreciate that.
It really is. So I want to thank you. Can you please again tell us your website and your social media handles that our readers and viewers can follow?
So you can check me out at davidanthonyweddingmd.com. You can also check out all the venues at sayidoevents.com. And right there, you can follow through to all the Facebook, Instagrams, and Twitters rather than put them all out there. And we're constantly updating and sending, but links to everything are right on the websites. Check it all out. If any of your listeners or viewers, have any questions, they want to shoot me an email, I'll certainly do my best to get back to them. Traditionally, I'll answer just about everybody. Just basic questions or ideas or want to run ideas by me, not a problem at all.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so, so very much for your time. And I know you've been busy and you shifted, what, 60 weddings?
147 so far.
Jesus Christ, I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine. Thank you so much again. Thank you, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it, Mr. David Anthony, MD, the Wedding MD. I am going to suggest, recommend, and in fact, I'm going to insist that you buy this book, because I promise you it's a great read in less than 2 days. Do it with your family, your fiance, and give it as a gift to a crazy bride if you have to, all you other people. It is fun. And I also encourage you to visit his YouTube channel and watch the videos and subscribe to when the show is coming back on. Thank you so much. Stay home for now, but be ready to enjoy all your loved ones soon. Ciao, Bella. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, our interview with David Anthony, the author of Don't Let Your Wedding Be the Death of You. This book is actually available to help you plan your wedding in the mindset of planning your wedding, just knowing how to hire your professionals, how to get you mentally, emotionally prepared for your friends, your family that's going to have an input, and how you can respectfully get it together. So I encourage you all to pick up a copy of the book. It is available on Amazon.com, but he has an amazing series of videos that are hilarious, that if anybody questions your capability of making decisions by yourself, you as a couple, it should still be done together, you and your mate, send them the video. It's pretty cute. So subscribe to their page. So that was it for World Bride Magazine and the interview of how to plan your wedding with a professional wedding planner. Until the next time, ciao bella.